And our assistance program will not just be business as usual, but also will be transformed to meet the needs of this movement and the changes that are taking place in the region. As President Obama said in his May 17th speech, we think it's important to focus on trade, not just aid, on investment, not just assistance. We are also reaching out to the citizens of the region themselves. We want to find new partners and invest in new ideas that make a real difference in people's lives. On the economic side, we're committed to, one, helping to stabilize the difficult situation that these countries face and promoting economic recovery. That is particularly important to achieve the kind of stability we want. Second, working with responsible governments to modernize their economies. And third, promoting greater opportunities and inclusive growth for the peoples of the region, most especially for young people, and very definitely with a great deal of emphasis on women and girls. We know that people in the region expect democracy to deliver jobs, sweep out corruption, and extend opportunities that will help them prosper and take full advantage of the global economy. So we will work with people and leaders across the region to create more open, dynamic, and diverse economies where all citizens can share in the prosperity. As the President has outlined, our efforts begin in Egypt and Tunisia, where the stakes are high, but we're also broadening it to a number of other countries. First, along with our G8 partners, the United States is encouraging active support from the international financial institutions, targeting both short-term economic impact, which is to say deal with stabilization and other issues to address the disruptions from recent events, but also to lay the basis for inclusive long-term development. The multilateral development banks are responding with generous new financing, and the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, is providing critical advice. It also stands ready to provide financial support as needed to stabilize and modernize the economies of Tunisia and Egypt. Second, the United States plans to relieve a democratic Egypt of up to $1 billion in debt payments. We will work with our Egyptian partners to invest these resources within Egypt in terms of Egyptian pounds to foster growth and entrepreneurship. We're also helping Egypt to regain affordable access to capital markets by guaranteeing $1 billion in borrowing that is needed to finance infrastructure and job creation. Third, we're working with the Congress to create enterprise funds to invest in Tunisia and in Egypt. These will be modeled on the very successful enterprise funds that were used in 1989 and 1990 in Eastern and Central Europe, and that, for the most part, were quite successful in starting and supporting new small and medium-sized enterprises. OPIC will also launch a $2 billion facility to support private investment across the region. And we will collaborate with our partners to reorient the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the EBRD, to support democratic transitions and economic modernization in the Middle East and North Africa. Fourth, the United States will launch a comprehensive trade and investment partnership initiative in the Middle East and North Africa so the region can better integrate itself with the global economy. As we take these steps, we will be engaging with the private sector and civil society in this region. In working with the private sector, our global entrepreneurship program is seeking out new partners and new opportunities. I've seen this myself in Jordan, where I had the privilege of sitting with King Abdullah II as we witnessed a number of young entrepreneurs, high school students, who had entered into a contest to do apps for iPad 2. These were kids that were from high schools throughout Jordan, and the entrepreneurial capabilities of kids in this region, if given the chance, if given the opportunity, if given the education, they can equal and parallel and perhaps exceed entrepreneurs in other parts of the world. The chance needs to be given to them. The educational opportunities and the right economic environment are critical to their success, and that's one of the very high priorities we face. If you could see the optimism on the faces of these kids when they were given this chance and they got these prizes, it really warms your heart, but it also inspires you to recognize there's enormous human potential in this region that can be tapped to very good benefits in the region and worldwide. To spur private sector investment, we're also working with a group called Partners for a New Beginning. It's an organization formed by Madeleine Albright, Mukhtar Kent, CEO of Coca-Cola, and Walter Isaacson, who heads the Aspen Institute. They're working on a number of projects, private sector projects in the region. We also believe that governments throughout the region need to establish the type of transparent, accountable patterns of public administration, appropriate economic regulations, and the rule of law that enables a well-functioning business sector to thrive. Ultimately, while we work closely with our friends and partners throughout this vital region, events on the ground will be driven by the people and the region and the governments there themselves. As the President said, the greatest untapped resource in the Middle East and North Africa is the talent of its people, and if the governments enable the people to utilize these talents and have the right environment to do it, then one can feel optimistic. If they don't tap the potential of the people, it becomes a lot more difficult to do this. We believe that the peoples of the Middle East and North Africa have the talent to build vibrant economies and sustainable democracies, just as citizens have done in other regions long held back by closed political and economic systems from Southeast Asia to Eastern Europe to Latin America. Indeed, in thinking about the world today, we're not just talking about a new Middle East, but about a new Middle East in the context of a new world. We have seen many countries emerge with newfound economic dynamism, not only China, but also India, Brazil, Indonesia, Malaysia, and so many more. In this new world, it is vital that the Middle East not be left behind. That is why it is so critical that the people of the Middle East have the opportunity to match their emerging political and social advancements with economic advancements as well. And that is why it is so important that our international partners, including international organizations, take a positive role in helping to promote opportunity and genuine reform in the Middle East, just as the UNDP has done so successfully. And that is also why it is so crucial that the private and non-governmental sectors also play positive roles. Ultimately, a stable, prosperous, and democratic region is in all of our interests. The Middle East can yet be another anchor for global stability, growth, and opportunity and progress, just as so many of the emerging economies have done before them. So to conclude, let me just emphasize again that we look forward to working together with our friends throughout the U.S. government and the American private sector and civil society, and we look forward to working with the governments and the people of the region and the international organizations that are so actively involved in this region, at home and abroad, to advance the ends I have described. We are at an historic turning point. The key to revolutions is not the success in the first week or the first month, but it's their long-term success. It's their ability to take the energy of the people who created the revolution, build on it to achieve positive ends. And the United States wants to work with those people and with their governments to help them achieve those ends. I thank you very much.